Yo guys, in this tutorial we're gonna be making this Matchday graphic of Ryan Cherki. I will show you step by step how you can make this design on your own. We're going to focus on composition, lighting, and all of the techniques that you need to make this design work. I believe the best way to learn is by doing it yourself. So in the description, I've dropped a starter kit with the elements I will be using in this tutorial. So go ahead, download the starter kit so you can follow along with me. All right, let's not waste any more time and get straight into Photoshop. All right, so here's the design we're going to make today. As you can see, I've went with two photos. One is much larger from Media Day, and the second one is him playing in action. So now we're going to recreate this design step by step. So first of all, what we're going to do is click Command N to open a new project. And as usual with the Matchday graphics, we're going to use a canvas of 1080 per 1920 resolution, 300 pixels per inch, white background. Click create, and I hope you've already downloaded the starter kit. So we're going to open the two photos of Ryan Cherki. We've got the first photo. First of all, if you don't see this window here on the bottom right, go to the top and click window and make sure the contextual taskbar is selected. We're going to click select subject, and it's going to take a second, but the selection is pretty good for the start. That's what we needed. So we've got our selection. Now let's go to select and click select and mask. And here you want to click T to open the white background and make sure the opacity is set to 100. So we're going to zoom in, and you can see the selection of edges is not great. So we've got to make some adjustments. I'm going first of all to increase contrast, let's say to 23%, and also the shift edge by just -7%. You can zoom in by holding spacebar and command. So now click B for the brush tool, make sure it's 100%, and we're going to paint in these areas that we want the selection to be much smoother. Go all around the player and make sure every body part is clearly visible and selected. All right, I think that's nice. I'm going to click OK. In this window, we're going to hold Command C to duplicate it, open our project, and Command B to paste it. Now don't transform the player yet. We're going to right click on the layer and convert to smart object, so the player doesn't lose the quality when we rescale it. Quickly rescale it to this position. Now that we have our first selection, you can save the project, Command S, and save it on your computer. And I'm going to move on now to the second image of Ryan Cherki. So the same deal, select subject up first, and again select and mask, and let's see if this selection needs some adjustments. So first of all, I'm going to increase the contrast to about 10%. You can click A to switch to black, and now you can see the selection up here and the hair is not the greatest. So I'm going to decrease the shift edge first so the whites disappear. Now you can also click R and delete the white stuff in his hair, and also with brush tool just here erase some parts. All right, I think that's good. Click OK, Command C to duplicate it, and Command B to paste it. Convert to smart object right away and upscale him to about this position, and make sure the layer is below the smaller Cherki. Perfecto. Now we're going to create a new solid color layer and select a dark blue color that matches the Ryan Cherki's shirt. So I'll go pretty dark here, about to this. Click OK. So what you can see here is the ball that Cherki is holding is a Nations League ball, and we want it to be a World Cup. So in the original, I switched the ball to the World Cup 300 official match ball. So quickly, I'm going to show you how you can make it as well. We're going double click on his layer to open the smart object, zoom in a little bit, and using the pen tool, I'm going to select this ball that he's holding. Watch out here for the fingers. When we have our selection, hold Command enter. And here, if you have the original version of Photoshop, you can click remove and it's going to make a pretty good job. All right, we've got our removal, but the hands are pretty messed up. But really it doesn't matter because we're going to put our match ball in his hands. You can delete this part right here using the brush tool and mask. And if you've got already my World Cup 2026 pack, you can drop in one of the shots from the tree on the ball. As you can see, I have 7 of these and I will drop the 4th one, Command T to transform it and place it here in his hands. So now, having this layer selected, Command J to duplicate it, move it upwards, and now click mask, Command I to invert, and we're going to paint here just to show back his fingers. This way the design is going to look much more realistic. Here we go. And now to make the design even more realistic, I'm going to create a new exposure layer, decrease it to about here and paint only here on the shadows. So now you're gonna see a massive difference. Click X here, save, and we've got our ball. All right, so now from the starter kit you have downloaded, you can drop in the France home kit pattern. I'm going to open the World Cup pack where this kit is from and drop in the France World Cup kit. So now go to the blending options and select the color dodge. And now we're going to create a new exposure layer, increase the exposure to about 170. Command I to invert the mask, and using the brush tool, I'm going to change the flow to about 10. Make sure white is selected instead of black, and we're going to paint a spotlight behind Ryan. I will actually increase the exposure to about 2.5 and another exposure layer. This time we're going to decrease it to 130. Command I and paint just on the edges to create this natural vignette. All right, that's done. Now let's move to the Ryan Cherki layer and we're going to create a new clean layer. Now go to the panel here and select the rectangle tool. If you can't see it, right click and select the rectangle. And in the fill section, we're going to set a nice white color, no stroke, and I'll create a rectangle here at the bottom. I'll move it a bit downwards and also the Cherki player. So a nice technique that I did here is to create smaller rectangles up here, so make the smaller box a bit more interesting. So having the same settings and the rectangle tool, we're going to create some smaller ones and move it to this rectangle, maybe somewhere here, and a larger one right here. So now holding Shift, select all of the rectangles and Command G to make a group. You can double click and rename it rectangles. And now we're going to drop in the stadium photo. So from the starter kit, you can drop in this exact photo. I'm going to move it downwards. And now make sure the stadium is above the rectangles group that we've just created. And using Alt, we're going to clip it right here. Now move to the blending options and select all the way at the bottom luminosity. At the top right, I'm going to drop the opacity all the way to 20%. So right now, looking at the composition, the bottom box is a bit too bright compared to the whole design. So having the stadium layer selected, click G on your keyboard, make sure the basic black to transparent gradient is selected, and from the bottom we're going to create a nice gradient. Can go even further. All right, perfect. Now you can see the design really coming together. So now moving back to the background, I'm going to press T and type with the capital letters word Matchday. Here on the panel you can select the color white, and I'm going to increase this text to about this position. And for this particular design, I've selected the Druk XX Cont Web Super Italic font. As you can see, it's really long, but that really fits our composition. So you can go on websites like the Fonts Share, and download a really long font for this project. And if you have it, go here to blend modes and select overlay. So looking at our design, you can see the photos of Cherki doesn't match the background, doesn't match the lighting that we've created behind him. So what I'm gonna do is first create a exposure layer, clip it to our big Cherki image and increase the exposure to about 2.5. This looks terrible, but don't worry, we're going to invert this mask. Click B on your keyboard for brush tool, and with a flow of about 7%, and I'm going to paint some highlights just here on the edges, which will represent the light coming from behind him. So make sure you're painting only on his edges, don't go any further into the body, here around his ears and on his sides. Also, don't forget about his nose, but just a subtle effect. If it's too strong, just invert from white to black and delete some highlights. All right, that's done. Now I'm going to create a new hue and saturation layer, clip it using Alt and select colorize. Now move the saturation to the middle and our hue to a nice blue color. Around 230 will be good for this project. Click Command I in the mask to invert it. And now move the hue and saturation layer below the exposure. And we're going to paint highlights using the 7% flow, but again, just slightly on the edges to represent the light coming from behind him. His ears will be covered largely. All right, this is looking nice. Also, don't forget about his nose. Now, this is looking good, but the whole Cherki image is too reddish, yellowish. So I'm going to create a new color balance layer. Again, clip to our Cherki and increase the blues and decrease the reds. Clicking this eye icon, you can see the before and after our light is coming together. Now the last part of lighting is to create a solid color with a light blue, I think around here. Again, clip it, Command I to invert the mask, and the flow is going to be 3% because we want a slight effect, not a major one. And slightly on the edges, we're going to create a haze coming from the light behind him. So take your time at this point, because this is a crucial in our design. We really don't want to mess this up. All right, I think that's looking amazing. So we've got our highlights done. For the bottom Cherki, we can copy the color balance layer with Command C and Command V and clip it. If you want, you can also add some highlights to him, but I'm going to skip for this tutorial and move on to the next step, which is going to be creating our boxes with the flags. So I'm going to create a new clean layer, select the rectangle tool, and here create about this sized box. It doesn't matter the color for now. Here you can see these 4 circles at each corner. I'm going to drag one of them till you can see the R25 pixels. Click enter, and instead of creating another rectangle, hold Alt and duplicate this layer and move it at the bottom. So now from the starter kit, you can drop the France and Senegal flags. If you have the workup pack, you can drag them from here. So I'm going to select France and Senegal and drop in right to our project. So select these both and rescale it so it fits fully to our flag. Now move the France one upwards and make sure the flags are above the rectangles that we want to put them in. So now if that's ready, hold Alt and clip it to each rectangle. It looks like that. Very nice. At the bottom, I will also type France First, change the color to a nice dark blue, and also here Senegal. I think for the matchday graphic it's nice to have both visual and text information about the two teams that are going to be fight in this match. So I included both the flags here on the top and at the bottom, France versus Senegal, so the viewer is not confused about which nations I'm going to play, especially when you know this nation or club is not well known in the industry and you really want to highlight it. Now also what I've included in the original project is these 3D crests. Here you can see the France 3D crest and Senegal. So if you have my World Cup 2026 pack, you can go to 3D crests and drop in first the France crest with the transparent background. I'm going to put it right here. And for the Senegal, I will actually drop in the version with black background. It's going to work best for this project because we can select the blend mode, set it to screen, and as you can see, it's looking magnificent. So that's here done. You can add some details I've made here, like Ryan Cherki, like autograph, today, text, and the stadium where the match is going to be played. So that's here done. I've added all these things. I almost forgot about the shadows underneath the smaller Cherki photo. So create a new clean layer, and with the standard brush you can hold Control, click, or go to this menu up here, and in this menu, holding Shift, I'm going to decrease the size of our brush to make it really flat. Go to the bottom, and with a flow of about 10%, just tap a few times underneath the ball. At the very bottom, the shadows are going to be nearly black, so make sure it's also visible. So now we've got the whole design. Now what's left is to add some color adjustments. So as always, we're going to use the camera raw filter. Having the top layer selected, hold Command, Alt, Shift and E, which is going to create a layer with everything we've done to this point. Right click on it, convert to Smart Object, and here go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and we're going to play with some adjustments. So first in the light section, I'm going to increase the exposure a bit, increase the contrast, as well as highlights and decrease the shadows. Now in the color, decrease the temperature, so it's nice blue vibe we got here. Increase the vibrance and saturation. In the effects panel, I'll increase the texture, clarity, and decrease the vignette. We can add some grain to it, to about 12. In the color grading, I'm going to select a nice blue main grade. Shadows will also be blue. Finally, I will add some sharpening to it, to about 15. And you can see before and after, the camera raw filter is a game changer. You need to use it every time you're making a design. So now the design is completely ready. I hope you get the same result. You can send me your versions on Instagram at Carlo Productions. If you want to level up your skills during the World Cup, I really encourage you to check out my World Cup 2026 pack. There are over 500 assets specifically designed for the upcoming World Cup 2026, including all 48 teams, home, away, kit patterns, all of the stadiums where matches will be played, 3D crests, World Cup theme backgrounds. You can find the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe and like this video to not miss any of the future tutorials, and I will see you on the next one.